being done unconstitutionally. Y'all took my kids unrightfully. You want to allow my witnesses here?
We haven't started the trial yet.
It doesn't matter. You still deny it. You want to take my kids from me and act like that? You ain't that bitch. You ain't the bitch that took my kids.
In one of the most chaotic courtroom moments you'll ever see, Alan McCarty made sure everyone knew exactly how he felt, and he wasn't shy about it. This guy had such a foul mouth that the judge nearly resorted to duct tape just to keep him quiet. But did that stop McCarty? Not a chance. After his sentencing, McCarty gave the middle finger and chose to read a book right from his handcuffed and chained seat.
You're before the court, Mr. McCarty, to show cause why I should not hold you in contempt for behavior that you demonstrated during the jury trial. You threatened the unborn child of the prosecutor.
But as you can guess, his nonchalant attitude didn't save him from a heavy sentence: 20 years imprisonment for threatening Circuit Judge Stacia Warren. But that was not the end of it. For what he did in the courtroom, he got an extra 10 days added. It didn't take long for McCarty to blow up again. When Circuit Judge Matt Foxman revealed that McCarty had even threatened the unborn child of a prosecutor, McCarty lost it. He exploded into a tirade of expletives, screaming this.
What a bunch of lies, you stupid piece.
Then also
You threatened my life.
in the
You
back room.
son of
That was the last straw. Foxman had McCarty dragged out of the courtroom, kicking and screaming all the way. The deputies struggled to contain him as he hurled insults at both the judge and the assistant state attorney.
No, I'm not standing.
Not resisting.
I'm not resisting. I'm just not standing up. I'm not standing. I don't have to stand.
But McCarty's tantrum didn't end there. He spent the rest of the hearing in a small room behind the courtroom, forced to listen through a speaker and watch through one-way glass. Yet even then he kept yelling, so loudly that he could be heard through the glass. At one point, he even struck the glass, making it tremble. McCarty's outburst was just the latest in a series of threats and insults. He'd been found guilty of multiple charges, including threatening Warren and 911 dispatchers, all because he believed his kids had been taken away unfairly.
Communications, Warhurst.
Yeah, I want to report a crime that's about to happen.
What do you mean a crime that's about to happen?
Yeah, there's about to be a crime that's going to happen if my kids don't come back to me, you stupid bitch. Because your stupid judges don't want to bring people to courtrooms. I got a gun pointed at your building.
Sir, what is going on?
Who the you calling, sir, you stupid bitch? Where's your Judge Warren at? You going to bring that bitch out in handcuffs and I'm going to execute that son of a bitch right in the street. I'm letting you know I'm going to shoot this bitch. You gonna give me my kids?
Where are you at, sir?
I just told you I'm outside of her building waiting for her to get there in the morning. I'm going to pop a cap in that bitch. You stupid.
But here's the kicker. Warren wasn't even the judge in this custody case, and McCarty didn't have custody of the kids in the first place. During the trial, McCarty didn't just target the judge. He even cursed out his own public defender, Ryan Bellinger, and at one point invited Judge Foxman to perform a sex act on him. The judge, keeping his cool, responded with, "I prefer not to." Foxman brought that up again during sentencing, highlighting McCarty's complete disrespect for the court.
Count one, I'm going to adjudicate him guilty, sentence him to 15 years in Florida State Prison. As to count two, I'm going to adjudicate him guilty, sentence him to 5 years to run consecutive to count one.
Because of his behavior, McCarty won't be eligible for any work release or community programs while serving his time. Once he's done with his 20-year prison sentence, he'll have a 10-day county jail sentence waiting for him. As State Attorney R.J. Larissa put it, McCarty now has ample time to reflect on the serious nature of his threats against the judge and our judicial system.
Plead to the speeding 22 over and possession of drug paraphernalia on January 23rd.
Regardless, you don't mean to say guilty or not guilty.
Well, if you plead guilty, then I can give you the plea agreement that you made.
Yeah, that, whatever the agreement was.
On March 14, 2018, 20-year-old Austin Boon walked into Jefferson District Courtroom 203 expecting to deal with a simple speeding ticket and a minor drug paraphernalia charge. The fine, just $178. No jail time. Easy enough, right? But things took a wild turn over something you wouldn't believe: his pants. It all started when a bailiff told Boon to pull up his sagging pants. Boon wasn't having it. That's when Judge Stephanie Burke decided to step in. She wasn't about to let this slide in her courtroom.
Do you understand that you're in a court?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you do what the judge says, and that is pull your pants up around your waist.
What do you want me to do?
Pull your pants up. If you have to tighten your belt, you're going to be an adult when you come to court. Do you understand?
Yes, but right now I'm trying to leave court.
Boon, clearly not in the mood, shot back.
Yes, but right now I'm trying to leave court.
Judge Burke wasn't impressed.
You're going to stay a lot longer than you like if you don't pull your pants up.
Ma'am, they hurt up. What do you want from me?
Have a seat. Have a seat. Because I said so.
At this point, Judge Burke decided to make a statement. She ordered Boon to sit in the jury box while she handled the rest of her docket. When Boon was finally brought back in front of her, he'd taken things to a new level. His pants were gone, replaced with just a pair of basketball shorts. Judge Burke was done with the games. From the bench, she let him have it.
I instructed you to pull your pants up on a number of occasions and gave you the opportunity to do that. Instead, you wanted to argue about it and act a fool. When I put you in that box, that was to give you a few moments so that I could discuss that with you privately at the end of this docket.
She then laid down the law.
By removing your pants, it was extremely poor judgment. Okay, I'm holding you in contempt. I'm going to sentence you to 7 days to serve for direct contempt of court.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Why?
Because you don't know how to act
They
like a
couldn't be
grown-up.
high enough for you, so I took them off.
Fast forward to Friday morning, Boon's attitude had done a complete 180. After 2 days behind bars, he was back in front of Judge Burke, this time in an orange jumpsuit with his attorney pleading for his release. And you know what? It worked. Boon was let go after serving just 2 days of his 7-day sentence for contempt of court.
Yes, sir. I think it's very unfair, the marijuana law here. I think we the people deserve better because marijuana is a very harmless drug, and it's been around for ages, since the 80s and 90s.
I've heard that baloney all my life, so don't go any further on that.
Yes, sir.
I don't know whether it's good or bad. All I know
Yes,
is
sir.
Tennessee still has it against the law. I swore to uphold the laws, and I have to uphold the laws as a judge. It probably is unfair, but I can't change it. You've got to go see the legislature to get that changed. You want to fix trial day?
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be fun, and then you make another step.
Every so often, a figure emerges who challenges the norm in ways no one saw coming. Think Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat, or Moses parting the Red Sea. In this generation, we have Spencer Allen Boston. At just 20 years old, Boston decided it was time to make a statement, and he did it in the most unexpected place, a courtroom. On a routine Monday, Boston appeared before the Wilson County Court facing a simple drug possession charge. But instead of quietly accepting his fate, he seized his moment at the bench to advocate for something he deeply believed in: the legalization of marijuana. And how did he make his point? Not with a lengthy speech or a well-prepared argument. No, Boston decided to light up a joint right then and there, taking a deep, satisfied drag as if to say, "This is my truth." The audacity of the move left everyone stunned. The bailiff didn't even realize what was happening until Boston was already halfway through his smoke session. By the time the reality of the situation set in, Boston was being led away in handcuffs. Yet he managed to leave the courtroom with a final, powerful statement.
Hey!
We the people deserve better.
Those words echo through the courtroom, a defiant cry that could have been spoken by any great revolutionary of the past century. But unlike those historic figures, Boston's bold stand earned him not only a second charge for simple possession, but also a contempt of court conviction. His penalty? A cool 10 days in jail. In a courtroom filled with grief and sorrow, Danta Wright, just 17 years old, made a move that nearly sealed his fate forever. On July 24th, Wright stood before a Washtenaw County judge for his role in the tragic shooting death of Pioneer High School student Jordan Klee. But instead of remorse, Wright greeted the heartbreaking victim impact statement with a smirk, a decision that almost turned his plea deal into a life sentence. As the courtroom listened to the tearful words of Jordan Clee's mother, recalling the moments and milestones her son would never see, Wright sat there grinning, seemingly unaffected. Judge David S. Swartz noticed, and he wasn't having it.
You know, I have never in 23 years approximately ever not accepted a sentence agreement between the parties because it's bargained for, sentenced by the parties. But watching you sit there, smile and laugh and shake your head like this was no big deal, I'm very tempted to just say, I'm not going to accept this sentence agreement. We'll go to trial. And if you're convicted of felony murder, you'll go to prison for the rest of your life. That means you'll die there. That's what I'm tempted to do.
And he wasn't bluffing. Judge Swartz made it clear that if the plea deal was off the table, Wright could face a trial for felony murder, a charge that would guarantee he'd spend the rest of his life in prison. That means you'll die there, Swartz warned, letting the gravity of the situation sink in. Wright's smirk faded when he realized just how close he was to losing everything. When it was his turn to speak, Wright showed little concern for the family he'd devastated. Instead, he focused on his own fate, expressing a desire to move on with the plea deal so he could be home soon. He briefly mentioned his love for his family and gave a shout-out to R.I.P. Keon, referencing the 2014 gang-related death of Keon Washington.
I just want to tell y'all, I'll be home soon. R.I.P. Keon, I love my family.
The turning point came when Assistant Prosecuting Attorney John Vella requested a break to consult with the Clee family on whether they wanted to proceed with the plea deal or push for a trial. After nearly an hour of deliberation, the family, despite their unimaginable pain, chose the path of forgiveness. They opted to move forward with the plea deal, allowing them to begin the long, difficult process of healing. When the court reconvened, Wright's attorney, David Goldstein, offered a weak apology on behalf of his client, attributing Wright's inappropriate behavior to fear, youth, and behavioral issues. But Judge Swartz wasn't entirely convinced. He expressed deep concern over Wright's apparent lack of remorse, but ultimately upheld the agreement. Wright was sentenced to 23 to 50 years in prison for armed robbery, conspiracy to commit armed robbery, and second-degree murder. In addition, he received a 2-year sentence for felony firearm possession. As part of the plea deal, more severe charges, including open murder, were dismissed, and Wright was spared from facing charges related to a separate gang-related killing in 2015.
To be taken upon arrest. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under statute if the assault is confinement. Count 6 is unlawful imprisonment.
The terrifying search for Isaiah Zeke Gardenhire, a man who left a trail of violence across mid-Michigan, finally came to an end late Monday night. After 2 days on the run, Gardenhire, who was wanted for the murder of a 13-year-old girl and the sexual assault of a woman, decided to turn himself in, but not without a bit of drama. The saga had started early Sunday morning on Isabella Road in Union Township, where Gardenhire unleashed a nightmarish series of events. It began with a brutal assault on his live-in girlfriend, followed by the horrific stabbing of her 13-year-old daughter, who tragically didn't survive. The violence didn't stop there. Gardenhire fled the scene, eventually making his way to the Jamestown apartment complex, where he allegedly held 2 people hostage, sexually assaulted one of the women, and then stole their Ford Focus to continue his escape. As the manhunt intensified, fear gripped the community. Michigan State Police urged residents to stay inside and lock their doors, while local schools went into secure mode. The usually peaceful Mount Pleasant area was on edge, with everyone anxiously awaiting news of Gardenhire's capture. Then, in a surprising twist, Gardenhire called the ABC 12 newsroom around 10:40 p.m. Monday night, expressing his intention to surrender. With the help of the news station, a meeting was quickly arranged, and just after 11 p.m., Gardenhire was taken into custody by Flint Township Police at the Montego liquor store. Michigan State Police soon took over, bringing an end to a manhunt that had left the community shaken. This was certainly a horrific tragedy and a completely senseless loss of life, said Isabella County Prosecutor David Gardner, reflecting the community's relief that Gardenhire's reign of terror had finally ended. The following morning, Gardenhire was presented via video link in Isabella County Court, wherein he listened to all the charges, including the first-degree murder and the first-degree criminal sexual conduct. But much to everyone's surprise, the hearing was interrupted by Gardenhire, who became rude and interrupted everybody, thus reminding everyone how dangerous he was.
In this case, due to the fact that Mr. Gardenhire is both charged with murder and the fact that he was on bond at the time the allegations occurred.
Charge her with murder because she's the one who did it.
Mr. Gardenhire, this is your warning. The court will mute your microphone if you speak out of turn again.
Your Honor, we would request that Mr. Gardenhire be held without bond, or in the alternative, that bond be set at $2 million in cash surety.
All right, thank you. Mr. Barbary, Mr. Gardenhire, I'm going to ask that you behave in a, all right. I'm going to ask you behave in a manner that is appropriate for a court proceeding, particularly given the fact that right now I'm considering whether or not to allow your release on bond. If I have any more acting out, sir, we're going to turn off your audio and your video. Go ahead and mute his audio and video. Thank you.
Despite his behavior, Gardenhire was found competent to stand trial. As the legal process unfolded, the court was set to determine whether there was enough evidence to hold him accountable for his alleged crimes, which included not only the recent spree, but also the murders of Harley Owens and Kelsey Kuhn Lennon in Lansing, an incident that had gone unsolved since April. Owens and Kuhn Lennon were tragically shot on April 28th, according to police, but their bodies weren't recovered until May 1st. They were found dead in a home on the 600 block of Baker Street in Lansing. All of this had taken place while Gardenhire was free on bond from a separate criminal sexual assault case involving a minor. That charge had been dropped earlier in June due to a key witness failing to recall critical details, allowing Gardenhire to remain free until his violent spree. Isaiah Gardenhire, the man responsible for taking 3 lives in 2021, including a Lansing couple, will almost certainly spend the rest of his life in prison. On Monday, Gardenhire was sentenced to 50 to 125 years for the fatal shooting of Harley Owens. This sentence adds to the 75 to 120 years he's already serving for the brutal stabbing of a young girl named Adri. The Ingham County sentence will run concurrently with his sentence in Isabella County, ensuring that Gardenhire will remain behind bars for decades to come. With these sentences, justice has been served for the victims and their families, marking the end of Gardenhire's violent and tragic saga. As for meeting a judge, everyone, when in the right mind, learns to keep it civil and cut to the chase. However, Michael Ray, 36-year-old prisoner from Kentucky, opted to take an altogether different method, and the results were disastrous for him. From a simple motion to determine the eligibility of Ray's bond, things got out of hand in the blink of an eye and ended up with Ray being charged with 6 other counts and further days in jail. Ray appeared in Jefferson County Court on a Friday, facing charges that included terroristic threatening and second-degree assault. The hearing began smoothly enough until the prosecutor requested a $25,000 bond. That's when Ray made his first mistake. He laughed out loud.
The county's requesting $25,000 full cash bond, all charges.
You think that's funny?
I think it's hilarious.
We weren't done.
The judge, unimpressed, decided to double the bond to $50,000.
All right, so bond is $50,000. No bail credit, danger to the community. Thinks these are funny charges. He's lucky I didn't hold him in contempt.
But instead of taking the hint, Ray's behavior only got worse. Agitated by the judge's response, he upped the ante by physically threatening her.
Bring him in. I'm holding him in contempt. Adding charges.
The judge, still maintaining her composure, warned Ray that she would hold him in contempt of court if he didn't stop. But Ray, clearly unfazed, fired back.
Sir, I'm holding you in contempt for what you did.
What's the holding you, man?
And so... All right.
Even a police officer in the courtroom tried to calm Ray down, but his efforts were met with more hostility as Ray called him worthless and hurled another obscenity his way. At this point, the judge had heard enough. She sentenced Ray to 100 days in jail for contempt of court. But Ray wasn't done yet. He continued his tirade, dismissing the severity of his situation.
You can take him back 100 days to serve.
100 days to serve? Okay.
Yeah.
Because of 2 EPOs and criminal mission case?
As Ray was being escorted out, he couldn't resist reiterating his threat to the judge, sealing his fate with one final outburst. The judge promptly added another charge of terroristic threatening, bringing Ray's total number of charges to 10, more than double what he had when the hearing started. The scene ended with the wary police officer shaking his head and offering his thoughts to the judge. "He's special," the officer remarked. "He really is. It took a lot of convincing just to get him here." What should have been a straightforward bond hearing turned into a lesson in how not to behave in court. Michael Ray left the courtroom with a lot more legal trouble than he came in with, proving that sometimes it's best to just keep quiet. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you found these courtroom moments as fascinating as we did. But the story doesn't end here. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive into even more shocking and outrageous cases. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. And before you go, let us know in the comments. Do you think the punishments these people got were fair? We'd love to hear what you think.